Love is beautiful, but let's be real, it ain't always easy. We've been through the storms, the highs, the lows, and everything in between.
But through it all, we made a choice again and again. We chose love, we chose commitment, we chose us.
Because marriage isn't just about saying I do, it's about choosing to stay.
Welcome to We Chose Us, because love is worth the fight. What's up, everybody? We're back for another episode of We Chose Us. It is me, Rob, and
Kris.
And we're glad to be here today. And what we noticed something about our show is that life happens, and sometimes we have to skip a week or two to kind of do some things with the family, but we're still rolling, so we're still here after taking a week, a needed week off.
Yeah.
Kris, how you doing today, babe?
Good. Like you said, back to school, sports, everything just hit you all at one time. So
It all hits you. It all hits you. Yeah, life, it all hits you. And, you know, we had the opportunity, really just jumping into this, because we had the opportunity to go and spend some time with some friends. And, before I do that, though, real quick, email us your show topics, show@wechooseus.com.
Yeah.
We've been getting those as well. Continue to follow us. Continue to subscribe. We hit 1,000 subscribers. I don't think we shared that with them.
I think we're at 1.2 now.
Yeah, like 1,200. Like we were at 800 last time. We're at 1.2. We're like growing. We got folks that are really like inboxing the stuff. We've got
asking for
shows.
counseling.
Yeah, asking for counseling. We got one reel got to like 900. We got some TikToks that got into the like double digits, like 60-something thousand. So we're rolling, we're moving.
Yeah.
And we want you all to be able to share with others as well about what this community means to you, what this podcast means to you as well. And so I did want to make sure I mentioned that and I plugged that because it's like taking off, and I really feel like the momentum as well. So we got some merch getting set up. We even got some guests that are coming as well over these next few weeks that I think you guys will really enjoy. So continue to stay connected. Now back to the episode, right? Me and Kris was out the other night with some friends, and you know, Kris had a moment where the song "Set It Off" came on. And, you know, when Set It Off comes on.
First of all, you always surprise me with how you enter these shows. In my mind, I always be like, where he going? Like, what is happening? Look, Mama, what friends?
Yes, we were out with some friends. Shouts out actually to Jock and Rashima Mountain, who they actually record here at the studio as well. And they have a really, really dope marriage podcast as well. Theirs is a little bit shorter format than ours, but really, really dope podcast. So
Your Best Marriage Now.
Yeah, Your Best Marriage Now. So I'll actually put a link to that in our description as well. But anyhow, we're out there. We're out with some friends at a rodeo thing that we got going on, a Western
that
thing
you were not
that
for.
I was not for. I'm not.
Like, I ain't about to put on no boots on no
boots
ground.
on no ground. That ain't me, fam. That ain't me. This Decatur Robin house. That ain't me. You feel me? So we did a boots on the ground thing. I was about to say Dukes and Boots. No, we did a boots in the ground thing. And Set It Off came on, though. And if y'all don't know, Krislyn is a dear AKA. And she got up there and she started doing the stroll. And I started recording, and I realized that my baby is happy.
Aw.
And afterwards, like the next day, I said, babe, I'm just happy you're you. Unapologetically you. There's no shell that I used to see, because I used to see a shell.
Yeah.
There's no uneasiness or anything like that. You got up there, you was just leading the stroll. And you didn't know none of the other ladies there, but you was just in your zone leading the stroll, just smiling. But it wasn't just that. It wasn't just a stroll. It was other stuff. Like Boots on the Ground did come on, and you was clack, clack, clack. clack. You know what I'm saying? Like, you was doing it. And then another song came on and you got up and you started doing it first.
Flex.
And Flex came on and then everybody started hitting the dance floor.
Slide
and I said, yeah.
Slide to
and I'm like, this is you. And I'm so happy that you have found you, because it's been some struggles there, right? Yeah. And the whole topic, for those that are you wondering where we're going, it's when parenthood steals yourself and rediscovering you after kids.
Yeah.
There is this thing about parenthood that you lose yourself when you start to become parents, because the focus becomes the kids. And let me set this up, and then I want you to be able to respond. When we got married August 23rd, right? 2014. 6 months later, you were pregnant.
Yeah.
So there was no really us getting to know each other. And then through the pregnancy, there were some struggles there throughout your pregnancy with preeclampsia, and I'll let you talk about that as well. But what is not talked about is how when your focus becomes on parenthood, you have to give a part of yourself up. So I want you to, kind of share your perspective and your journey just through what I've been talking about through the pregnancy, and even, you getting up and dancing and stuff like that. Like, just kind of share with your perspective of what happened. Like, do you feel like you lost you? Do you feel like you got you back?
Absolutely.
Is you back, fam?
Yeah,
you're back.
Right.
Okay.
I'm back. Well, I think first and foremost, like God shared, parenthood is a calling. Right? It's not a sum total of who you are. Yeah. And I think a lot of times in marriage, you make it a sum total of your entire identity. Yeah. Like, I hear a lot of parents say, the kids. And that becomes kind of an excuse of why they can't be themselves or enjoy life. A lot of times it's the kids. But as much as we love our kids, that can also produce a level of resentment because we feel we're giving our all to kids. That I think and this is what, and I'll go back, I kind of do it in reverse, but I think this is what became my wake up call, is if I'm consistently taking care of the kids, but not myself, then what of myself am I sowing into the kids? Does that make sense?
Good, yeah.
And it's like, I can raise them, but I'm not kids are sponges based off of what they see. And so you're doing all this stuff, but what are you giving them? What seeds are you planting from self if you're not fully evolving as self? And I realized, like, with having a daughter and a son, like, what mark of my life do I want to leave with them? Or do I want to always be the stressed mom who's always running around trying to do this, trying to do that? Or do I actually want to take time and be full enough to actually pour into them? And that's what I realized is, at some point I was just all over the place, that it led into depression. It led into, and we hear about that postpartum depression and things like that. It led into a level of resentment, like, oh my gosh, how on earth can I be a mom and be myself? And it was a realization that God called me to be a mom. That's part of who he called me to be. Just like he called me to be a pastor, just like he called me to be a wife, he called me to be a mother. But that doesn't mean you give up or forsake yourself. Who is self in these callings? That's why God called you, is because you're able to be yourself in these particular positions that he's equipped you for. And so it has been a difficult journey, but like you said, like 6 months into our marriage, I was pregnant. And so coming in, birthing Kaylin right when we birthed our church, never knowing who I am as a wife, never really knowing who I am as a person, because you're growing, right? You're in new territory. You're not single. You're married now. Think about this. You're married, you're a pastor, and you're a mom, all in the span of a year. I don't know who I am. Yeah. It felt like all of it fell into my lap. So my instant response was overwhelmed. Brokenness. Like, how am I going to handle this? I became kind of like a walking zombie, just like you. And then at the time, you were dealing with a lot, which we talked about. And so being able to navigate through all of that, I definitely lost myself. And then finding out I was pregnant with Kyler later, which neither Kyler nor Kaylin were planned.
Right.
They were not planned. Both were, I got pregnant off both of them, like birth control. Mm-hmm. So it was like, God was like, yep, this is your calling. Yeah. I see you trying to block it, but it ain't working, you know? And so you're now with 2 kids and our marriage is struggling. We still have a church. I was completely lost. And so when you talk about rediscovering yourself, I realized I had to first locate myself, right? It's like a GPS system, right? The GPS can't tell you where to go if it don't tell you where you are, right? It has to highlight where you are at that point. And that was hard for me, was to really say, man, I'm kind of sucking as a mom right now. I'm not myself. I'm not full. I'm just kind of going through life. All right, you want some milk? Here's some milk. You want some nuggets? Give me some nuggets. You want some, you know, and just kind of doing the bare minimum just to get by every single day. And I literally had to locate where I was in order to navigate fully into who I knew God was calling me to be as Kris. Because that's what I wanted my kids to see. I wanted my kids to meet their mom, not just know that mommy is just going to provide for me. It's kind of like God, right? We got to get out of that space of thinking God's just going to provide for me, but don't have a relationship with him and don't really know who he is. And that's what I wanted for my kids. I want you to know me, but I got to know me first. And so that's when I just got into a space of, I remember this so clear, sitting with God. We were at our old house and I sat with God in this quiet space because I was really overwhelmed, broken, just kind of surviving, just showing up every single day. And I said, God, please show me who I am. And God said, get a notebook. And I opened up this notebook and God started literally detailing out things that I didn't even think were necessary, right? Yeah. My favorite color, smells that I enjoy, things that, and I'm like, what am I writing down? And I knew it wasn't me because I wasn't even thinking about that kind of stuff. And he just started like, he was like, just write. Don't think, don't question, just write. Mm-hmm. And I just began to write and began to write and began to write. He started telling me like the smells that I like, the clothes that I like, the kind of like what I like to enjoy, things that I was like, I'm not even sure if I'm in agreement with this. And he was like, don't question, just write. And I just kept writing and writing and writing. What makes me happy? What makes me sad? Every little detail. And I remember getting halfway through that list and I just kept writing, but in tears. And I just got into this space where, I'm about to tear up now, where I just started getting like just overly like overwhelmed with this sense of love. Like, man, like if this is me, I've missed out for so many years. I didn't even know this. And God said it's because it's like your life has been so cluttered with so many responsibilities, obligations. It's like you felt like you've had to meet so many other needs, even before children. You felt like you had to be someone for everybody that you missed who you were. It's like you had to just show up without, and it's like, but you've been showing up without yourself, right? Mm-hmm. It's like every day, and I think a lot of us do this, is we show up because we feel we're obligated or it's our responsibility, but we leave self at home because we don't really take the time to get to know who we are. And so it's easy to just say, okay, I'm just going to show up because I'm going to be present. I'm going to make sure I fulfill my obligations, my duties, my roles. But what if we showed up fulfilled, fully in ourselves? And that's what God said. He said, you never took the time to get to know who you are. He said, so I had to give you the details because even the details were rewired by other people's opinions. You would dress according to what you thought was acceptable. You would question what somebody else would think about it before you put it on. Mm-hmm. You would kind of create this shell of self based off of what you thought would be presentable and acceptable about others. Yeah. And he says, is that the seed you want to sow into your children? And I said, no. And that's why he said I had to lay out the details so that the seed you would show is how important it is to show up in life as you. Because you are who I called. I didn't call who you were creating, who you thought would be acceptable, who you thought would be the one that everybody likes. I didn't call that. I called you. Everything that God asked me to list out, he said, that's who I want to show up.
That's good.
That's who I need as a mom, as a wife, as a pastor, as a preacher, as everything that I've called you to do in this life. I knew who I called. And you've been trying to change it because you didn't think it was enough. But I called you in all these spaces with all of these details that you think may not be acceptable. That's who I called. And when you walk there into that identity, that's when you encounter fulfillment.
That's good. I think about even with you saying that and you writing that list, right? And then the things that you have done later in life that, you know, I didn't necessarily know or kind of knew a little bit about, but it wasn't something that I really felt was really, really strong or impressed upon you. Like, you know, let's take your bodybuilding journey and how that was, and me recognizing that at first I thought you went into bodybuilding just because you were just almost trying to get away from me, in a sense, away from me and the kids, because y'all, listen, she was doing the 2-a-days, you know, and she was waking up 3, 4 in the morning, driving to the gym every day, 7 days a week, some days even going afterwards as well.
In the evenings, yeah.
And it was a little, for me, it was a little shocking, right? To be able to see you do that, because I'm like, all right, what is going on? Where's this push coming from? You know, because I had never known anybody to be able to push that hard. Now, I knew Kris always went hard in the gym. Don't get me wrong. I've always seen her go the extra mile. She work out harder than most dudes. People don't understand that. My wife can get it, right? And so seeing you do that, and then 2 days a week, and then talking about how you wanted to get into bodybuilding, and I wasn't sure about the whole thing. I ain't even going front. Like, I wasn't sure. I was like, you gonna be doing what? You gonna be you gonna be posing how?
Yep.
And you know, to be real, when the idea first came up about you bodybuilding, we had just got married.
Yeah, the first time.
The first time, yeah, we had just got married, and I was kind of like, nah, that ain't.
You did. No, it was a hard no. It wasn't no. It was nope. Because we went and we drove. I don't know how far we drove. We drove a long time, and this dude was like, when we got to the gym, dude was like, put these heels on. You put the heels on, and you had on your bikini or whatever. And he was like, now walk and do this and walk and do that. And there's this one pose where you got to stick your butt out, right? Yeah.
And he's sticking your butt out, and he's just sitting there like, and it feels like, hey man, like this dude checking out my wife. That's the way it felt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people would still think that that's what's going on. As a matter of fact, after we did that, you shared that desire with some folks, and a guy pulled me aside and he was like, yeah, don't let your wife do that, because they looking for who they gonna sleep with and all these different things, which I come to realize that wasn't even what it was.
Down the line, yeah.
They was literally looking at like the ties between your glutes and your hamstrings and how those different things are. And I let a lot of that stuff suppress who you are and the things that you wanted to do, because that was you initially in the very beginning wanting to express your freedom.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was me kind of keeping that down.
Yeah, but I think it came at the perfect time, because like we're talking about, after having kids, man, you lose a lot of who you are. Like, I dealt with preeclampsia with Kaylin and borderline preeclampsia with Kyler, and that's when your body swells. And you have high blood pressure. So I was very high risk, and you put on a lot of weight because of the swelling and things like that. And I think I got up to, I gained, like, which is unheard of, almost like 90 pounds or so.
It was almost
100 pounds. Yeah. So you completely lose yourself after having kids. And the same with having Kyler. I dealt with the same thing. And so you go into automatic mom mode after you have the kids. You're nursing, you're taking care of the kids, and at that point you got 2. And I knew there was a lot in me, but I didn't know how to get it out, you know. And so, like, when bodybuilding wasn't just rediscovering myself after, being a mom and parenthood. It was also right at the time we were separated and trying to rediscover who I am as a wife. Like, if I'm going to pursue moving forward in this marriage, I've got to rediscover me, because I can't lose myself again in a marriage. And, as a mom, as a pastor, preacher, I can't keep losing myself. And so I've got to, figure out who I am. And I remember the day that God said, go after bodybuilding again. And I was like, oh no, I don't know about that anymore. I was like, I'm trying to follow your lead and work on my marriage. And I knew hands down that you weren't for bodybuilding. So it was like, God, I think that would be the wrong thing to do. And God says, no, I want you to pursue this. Listen to me, pursue this. And I'm thinking, this is so unorthodox. God, you would not be telling me to go up there and model in nobody's bikini. And he was like, no, it's the process. He said, trust me. And so I remember asking you, and you were like, okay. Mm-hmm. And I did it, but it was healing. He was so right, because it was healing in the process. And it wasn't like I was trying to leave you or the kids, but it was like redefining me in this process. Something that most people don't know was it was so easy for me to follow the program, because every morning and every evening I had God in my ears. All I listened to was worship. Mm-hmm. And I would pray through my reps. And it was almost like God said, I'm literally meeting you there. Yeah. And it became like this space, this intimate space between me and God. I didn't understand it either, but it was like this particular thing that I needed in order for me and God to become one-on-one. Yeah, healing. And it was healing. And going through that process was hard. But I remember, and we kind of said this on a podcast before, I remember just being completely just nerve wracked. Just like, now I got to put on this bikini. I do not feel like I'm myself. Because if you want to look at before even parenthood, I grew up kind of in a household that did not compliment you, right? I even remember one time, and my brothers and dad, I think it's the first time I'm sharing it, mm-hmm. publicly. My brothers and dad still laugh about it today. Mm-hmm. But it's still something that kind of damaged me, in the past. And it took me up until maybe, what am I, 41 now? Mm-hmm. Until about age 38 to heal from it. And I still tear up about it, because I remember how much it hurt. And my dad and brother still laugh about it today. But I remember I was about 12 years old. And at the time, my dad lived in New York. And I remember, my mom at that time used to have like the flight attendant take you and put you on the plane, and, your parent meets you, when you get out, get out at the gate. Yeah. And I remember getting off the plane, and I had not seen my dad in a long time. And I had gotten off, the plane. And the first thing my dad said to me, and my brother was standing right there, was, damn, you big. Mm-hmm. First thing. 12 years old. And I remember at that moment, I just sunk. Like, what's wrong with me? And literally, he saw me. He saw me just kind of sinking. And he was like, you be all right. But I'm about to show enough go get you a bike. And you're going to ride your bike all summer long. Yeah. In New York that summer. And he did not lie. If I need to go to the grocery store, summer camp, wherever I went, I had to ride my bike, because he felt like I was too big. And that broke me, because growing up, I never had the you're pretty, you're beautiful, you're enough. Never had validation. I never felt valued. I always felt critiqued, criticized, broken down. Just if I was too big, that's what I heard. But I never heard you were pretty. Never got positive reinforcement. If my hair was a certain way, I always was judged critically about that. Everything was an issue. And going from there, and even going into the church and encountering critiques from the church, because I met religion before I met Jesus. And so it was an immediate like focus on what you had on, or making sure you wear coffee colored stockings, and you can never be enough of a preacher because you're disobedient and you wear tan stockings than coffee colored. Like, these seem like impossible statements, but this is the stuff that I faced.
This is the stuff, yeah.
And so being all consistently judged externally, it beat me internally. It traumatized me. Because it started from a seed from my parents and led into kind of my life in ministry. So when it came to bodybuilding, God knew that was more healing than just in my marriage or being a mom. That was the healing that I needed. Because after going through that, can you believe that I was still insecure? Still insecure in a two-piece. Still feeling like I was this big girl in a two-piece. After lifting all of the weight, going through months of transforming my body, you could not tell me that I was ready to walk across that stage.
Wow.
You couldn't convince me. And I remember telling my coach, I'm not ready. And he would send me before and after pictures like, Kris, look at you. And I'm like, I don't see what you see. I'm not ready. And I remember God said, you're going to walk across that stage. And I remember the first time I walked across that stage, I was shaking. Like,
I remember seeing
I could not stop shaking because I felt like I was still just this woman who wasn't enough, who didn't do enough. And I just felt still so incomplete. But when I finished literally modeling across that stage, I remember going to the back and I cried. And God says, welcome to healing.
Wow.
He says, you're enough. And he said, and then I'm getting ready to validate what I'm telling you right now. And I got called back on that stage and won every single place.
Every category. Yep. Every category that you were in.
And God says, this is the validation. You are enough. He says, and I needed you to go through this so that you will believe in yourself like I believe in you. And that's the woman I wanted my kids to see. Was a woman that was healed, a woman who wouldn't allow opinions and critiques and bad seeds to nourish who you become. I wanted them to see that you can still be who God called you to be, no matter who tried to stop you or who tried to break you. And God said, in order for you to deliver that to your children, you've got to be that. You can't just say it. You've got to be whole. Because otherwise your children are going to see your insecurities. They're going to see your inadequacies. They're going to see you fold based off of what people say. And what do you think they're going to start doing?
Yeah, same thing.
And he said, so you've got to do this. This is the start of, growth is growing within yourself and being who I fully, authentically called you to be.
That's amazing. I'm glad you shared that because, from my perspective, seeing you get up, like I said, every morning and going in the evenings, like I just saw this no give up mentality. And when you would miss certain times going to the gym, you would be frustrated that you missed those times, and I would be able to see it. And, I ain't gonna lie, it was tough just because, number one, you getting up in the morning, man, I had to get up in the morning to make sure that you made it to the gym, and like I'm that type of person where it was hard for me to fall back asleep knowing that you were out there going to the gym, also concerned about the kids, waking up and you being gone. And then even in the evening times, because the kids were younger, so they were a little bit more needy and kind of being in that place. But I knew what I had to do as well to be able to support you in this journey. Yeah. And I knew that if this is something I agreed to, this is something that no matter how much I didn't like it or how frustrating it was, I agreed to it. So I wasn't going to complain or anything like that. I was going to continue to watch you be you, and watch you grow. And I said this on the episode before, watching you walk across that stage was freeing, and seeing you be free. It was freeing also for me as well, because I was actually able to see you accomplish something that you tried so hard for. And then again, seeing you win every single category and hold all those trophies up, you know, in your first session, that was a mind-blowing thing, because we drove down, right? We drove down to Tallahassee, had our parents watch the kids, and, you know, just watching you in the room prepare, and just trying to be there and support you as much as possible. That I would never, I don't regret any of that in watching you do that. I don't regret any of it, because I saw a different side of you come out.
I did too.
And that confidence shot through the roof.
Yep, it did.
That confidence,
consistently.
Yeah, even though you felt that way about yourself internally, externally, the confidence was showing.
That was God.
That was that, man. God had just all of that come.
Yeah.
And I was so happy to where right after that, then rolling over into your journey, AKA journey as well, seeing you again in your love for something, in your relationship with God and how he was directing you and guiding you and all these different things. And then seeing you at the end after the process, right? And crossing and all of that. And how I just keep seeing your confidence, your grow, your reliance on him grow. The person that I see now, y'all, is way, way different than the woman that I married.
Me too.
And I'm so happy for that.
Yeah.
Because I fall in love with you more and more every single day, because I see more and more of you every single day. The one thing that remained consistent in our journey, in our relationship, was obviously your relationship with God.
Yeah.
That's always remained consistent. Your dependency, your trust, and reliance on him has always been the same. But you as a person, I feel like there's layers that continue to peel back, you know, and I'm so thankful, because childhood, having kids, it feels like people present it as it being a gift, that parenthood is a gift, but oftentimes parenthood is a thief, because it takes away from you. It takes away from the sacrifices that you make. You know, when I was watching a guy, I think I had even shared it with you as well, where he was just like, I don't really like parenthood. Like, I like being a parent. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love my kids and I like being a parent, but parenthood? No, there's certain things that you have to give up in parenthood. You can't think about yourself all the time. You want to go and get these J's, you can't get these J's like you want to get these J's, because your kids need J's too. You know what I'm saying? You think twice about it. You think twice about it, for real. You know what I mean? Because you want to get these things, you want to do these things. We can't just up and go on a trip.
You got to plan for everyone.
You got to plan for everything. What babysitter? You got to do all of the logistics. They don't tell you this when you become a parent, that you got to do all these logistics. Yeah. You know, if you have parents that can help, that's amazing. But if you don't have parents that can help, you're going to have to find a babysitter. Yeah. You know, and that don't cost money. You know, nanny, you might need a nanny. That don't cost money. Yeah. And it's an investment. I never will forget a colleague of mine. I was kind of complaining about it, because I was like, man, we're going to have to get a nanny, you know, and all these different things. Like, I was really complaining to him. And he was like, bruh, it's an investment. Yep. And that changed my whole perspective, because when I looked at us getting a nanny and her coming over, spending the time with the kids every single day, that invested in your and my relationship, because we could do things like walking in the evening and running in the evening and working out in the evening together. There was that time to where we could decompress and not think about and worry about all of the needs of the kids as well. So it was a complete change, and it really helped us grow. Yeah. And I'm so thankful that we were able to have, and that God was able to provide even for that piece.
Yeah. Because you have to, I mean, I think when it comes to parenthood, what is, like, you can't lose yourself. Right. Right. And even if you do, it's the rediscovery process of self. But not even just that. It's like, where are you and your spouse? right? And I think getting a nanny was, all right, we can't rush restoration, right? We can't
Episode
put
2.
something else back in the middle of us, kids. And now we're further separated, again. And so it was like, no, what can we do? And a lot of times you look at it like, oh, no, that's more money to get a nanny. But it was like, no, this is an investment into our marriage. And this is how we can connect more or get further intimate. And so it is a sacrifice. But I look at it like this. It's like when it comes to parenthood and marriage, it's like, are the sacrifices leading you into growth?
Yeah.
Are they progressing you? Then that's a beautiful sacrifice. A lot of times we just focus on the sacrifice, but we don't focus on the result. What is the result of the sacrifice? Yeah. And that is what's beautiful. It's not just, oh man, I got to do this or I got to do that. But what is the beauty behind it? Like we're doing something right now that is unknown and straight unfamiliar for me is we decided to homeschool our son this year.
Yep.
Our daughter is still in school. But what happened was he was having some issues at his school. And even the school themselves said they dropped the ball. And it was like, wait a minute, it was a private school. What you mean you dropped the ball? Like,
hey, y'all, man. Y'all,
you don't get to drop the ball. Like,
yeah, you not with this money coming out.
You are not getting paid to drop the ball.
Right.
Like, and it kind of rubbed us the wrong way. And, when it's a prayer about it, because we didn't have peace about some decisions that were being discussed. And it took a heavy, heavy prayer. Like, okay, what are we going to do? And kept hearing homeschool. And it was like, who gonna homeschool this child? Like, who got the time? It's a sacrifice. Yeah. And that's something you said. You even said it recently. You was like, I'm just praying about this sacrifice because he going to be at home. Because real talk, you want your kids to go to school. Like, after the summer's up, y'all out of here. Yeah. Like, go to school. The school got you now.
Get up out of here.
We good. We can do what we need to do at home. Yep. But God kept saying, homeschool.
Yep.
And it was hard because it was like, okay, how are we going to do this? Mm-hmm. And we prayed about it. And it was confirmation from God that this is what we need to do. And that can become difficult because it's a sacrifice in who really wants to go through, that particular process. But here's the beauty of it all is the result behind the sacrifice. Yeah. What is this going to do for our child? And so a lot of times when you focus on the sacrifice, we would have easily made a decision. No, let's just send them maybe to school and it'll be all right. We'll pray through it at school, while he at school and we'll pray on it. But we knew God was saying, keep him home. Yeah. And in that, we ended up finding an entire he has a current tutor, and that tutor actually has a program where he hired an in-home instructor who will come in, but check this, she has 48 years of experience, retired, and lives 3 minutes from us.
Yep. In the same
neighborhood. And it was like, God was like, let me align your life. Yep. And what may seem like a sacrifice is literally a setup for progression. Yeah. It's what you're praying for. And it may feel like I'm taking something away from you, like time or all these other things. But literally, I believe if you let God lead, he will literally progress you in ways that you don't even expect or imagine. And I just believe that this is a level of progression, even for our son. And this is what we pray for. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the whole homeschool thing was an eye-opening thing for me because I was like, man, listen, 5 years old and how much he be running through that house, and then me, I can't pull away from the job certain times. Dealing with certain customers and stuff like that, I can't. And for me also, I don't like no loud noises, no sharp, quick, loud noises. That's
Which
why
is
we
why
ain't
the
got
kids
no
mad
dog.
that we don't have a dog, because you rehomed our dog. Side note, rehomed our dog because you don't like loud noises.
Man, listen, I'm telling you something.
And the kids are so mad. Listen, Kyler just last night, we had a little yogurt. He had a little yogurt container, the little Danimals, and on the Danimal was a dog. And he was like, Mommy, I love dogs. And I was like, I know, baby. He said, and I miss Bambi. Daddy had got rid of Bambi.
See, look.
And I'm like, all because you don't like loud noises. See, this is part of the parental sacrifice that you need to start embracing.
Listen, we ain't getting another dog in here, because guess who taking care of the dog?
No.
Guess who
that's
is the
only because
main...
you chose to do that. You chose. No, I told you, I said, I don't mind getting up and taking the dog out.
So
but you
I'ma
know
let
what you said? You said, but it's the noises. It's the startling noises.
It's the startling noises, and it's you're gonna get up at 5 a.m. when you hear that little right?
Yeah.
First of all, when I'm awake, and I'm not gonna sit here and go back to sleep knowing that you're about to get out of bed.
Maybe you're just supposed to get up at 5 a.m.
Listen, let me finish talking. Get up. I hear that little whine. You get up. You take the dog out, and I gotta wait for you to take the dog out and come back in.
But with Bambi, you never had to walk Bambi.
So
Bambi was trained to just go out, go do her thing, and come back to the front door, wasn't she?
Wait, she was trained how? Because originally she wasn't trained to do that.
I mean, you did it.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, because I wasn't trying to. And then not only that, when them sharp noises come and I'm trying to rest and decompress, them little arr, 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 and all that. No, stop it. We already got 2 kids that be loud, screaming and stuff like that. And then when they quiet, the dog want to bark when somebody ring the doorbell or pass by the house or just randomly just start barking. And then another thing is, Kaylin does travel gymnastics.
Okay.
Right?
Your point is, I got you.
So we would have to pay somebody, and we'd have to make another logistical move to take Bambi for somebody to care for her.
To pay care. Mm-hmm.
To pay care. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pet care.
Pay care. Care. All of that.
Sound very emotional about this.
So then, and the last thing is this. At the end of the day, if you ain't taking Bambi out, them kids sure ain't taking Bambi out. Who the one that's taking Bambi out?
You, but
right.
Sacrifice.
We ain't getting no dog.
Okay.
Y'all just witnessed a real conversation that go back. This is a real conversation between the kids, and all of them against me. It's 3 versus 1. But I ain't caving in. I'm not caving in on this one.
You asked Kaylin, what does she want for her 10th birthday? She'd be like, a dog.
Yep, that she not gonna take out. And I'm not gonna sit here and let mommy take out the dog morning, noon, and night. So yeah.
Okay, we got your point. You can go back to where you were. Do you remember where you were?
I was at. Because we started talking about this dog.
We were talking about sacrifices.
Yeah, sacrifice. Sacrifice nanny, yes. Sacrifice homeschool, yes. Sacrifice dog, absolutely not.
Whatever. We know. We see how you feel about the dog, right?
And loud noises. Yes.
Okay,
loud
got it.
Noises.
Oh my gosh. But we were talking about Kyler being home and your uncertainty with it because of loud noises.
Yeah.
And just being a parent, and it could cause a lot, and I know one thing that even kind of pivoting a little bit that we lost sight of was dating. Like, that became very rare and few.
That's hard.
It became very rare and few. I mean, we have a babysitter, and we have parents, but after a while, you're like, man, I don't want to keep calling on people. And it just skipped, like, it was like days and weeks and weekends would just, months would go by. And you realize, man, we haven't taken any time for self. And that's heavy.
That's heavy. Everything, there's always a sacrifice there. Like, say with the babysitter, calling someone in, then obviously you got to pay money for it, right? But what if you want to stay out longer, and you have to remember that you got to get back to the kids and all those different things, or even dropping them off at your mom's or my parents as well. Just being able to remember we got to go pick them up, or even the logistics again of having to go out your way to go and pick them up, and all these different things. Keeping that date night has been a real struggle for us. But I think what helps is the time that we really focus on each other when the kids aren't around, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or even though we don't have the nanny there as much as she was, that time was just really critical for us to be able to have those moments where we could literally talk and get to know each other and really love on each other. Because, the last episode, we were talking about intimacy and we were talking that from a standpoint of, well, we were talking about sex, yes, but part of that intimacy was just being around each other as well, and being able to know and find out wants. Like, one of the things that I've been able to do is, pursue getting a pilot's license.
I was going to ask you that to bring it up.
Yeah, like that was one thing that was, it was kind of on my radar years ago. Never really looked into it. And then I was having a conversation with you just talking about I needed to find something. Because look, you found your thing. You found bodybuilding for a while, and you found volunteering through AKA, and you're still doing ministry heavily and all these different things. For me, yeah, Tech Talks is good, right? And one of the things that I like to do, honestly, is to sit at a computer and just like hack away on my computer and try to figure things out. But I needed something different. And then that's how the pilot's license came into play, because you looked up the school, I found it, and I started studying and those types of different things. So that opened me up as well. Now, it's still a struggle, because you got to learn. It's school. You got to learn. And then, there's a lot around that. But, I felt like that was me opening myself up now. And like, I'm now at a place where I can feel at peace. Like, oh man, like.
Yeah, it's pouring back into your cup.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like something I wrote down, like one of the main things about rediscovering yourself without guilt, because I hear a lot of people talk about this, guilt in parenthood, guilt in a marriage, is giving yourself permission to dream again. Because a lot of times we think life after parenthood, life after a particular age, everything, those dreams just die. But one thing God shared with me, he was like, they might be dead to you, but they're not dead to me. And so you have permission to pick those things back up and pursue them, even at, you may be 41, 45, 50, 60, whatever age. And even with kids, who said that your dreams had to die just because you had kids? Or who said your dreams had to die just because you got married? Or who said your dreams had to die because you're now at a particular age? A dream is still a dream. And as long as God still has it available and ready and still breathing on it, that thing is ready to manifest, And so I love that when you came to me, and it is a sacrifice. It's another sacrifice because it's time. But it was like, we got to get over that whole idea of, oh man, I'm stepping away from the family, I'm abandoning my family for hours and things like that. Not if it's pouring back into your cup. Yeah. Because you, like everyone knows, you can't keep pouring from an empty cup. You can't keep pouring stretch. You can't keep pouring from this place of being overwhelmed. What fills your cup up? Outside of, the word and God? What is it that God is leading you to do that may grow you into this person that I need, that your children need? You know what I mean? And for you was like, and I remember that's always been a dream, being a pilot. And it was like, go fly.
Yeah. And but the funny thing is, and I'm glad you said it, because a part of me is, I don't want to leave my family and I don't want to step away for a couple hours a day. I still have to work on I need to find time to study, as well, because there's that part attached to it as well, being at home and studying, but stepping away. And I'm glad you actually said that, because that has been probably one of my biggest challenges is that guilt, saying, I am losing my family. And, sometimes we're in the middle of conversations and you might say certain things and I know you don't mean it. And I know you miss me. I know it's just you saying, instead of you saying I miss you, it seems to come out a different way.
What do I say?
You know what I'm saying? I can't remember what you said last time. What about work-life balance? That's what you tried to say when I had something to do the next day for work and I was going to wait a little bit later.
And you stay late in the office to fly like your plane, outside of flight lessons and stuff. And I say that, but I want you to pursue your goals. But this is like, I think the beauty of sacrifice is also balance, knowing how to be able to fill your cup, but balancing it out. That's why I would go to the gym at 4 a.m. because everybody sleep. What y'all doing at 4 a.m? You know, it was like sacrificing, but making sure I'm still not taking away. You know, and you know, and that's cool. Me. Yep, and I be missing you.
Oh, that's so sweet. That is so sweet. You look, I got you to admit it on the recording. You wasn't going to admit it last night when we were talking about it. You was just like, whatever.
Because you were all in my grill about it.
Like, just say you miss me. Just say you miss me, and then we good.
Because you were all in my face about it. It was like, get off me, man. Like, I said what I said. Work-life balance.
Just covering it up for saying that you miss me. Oh, I love you too, baby.
So.
Yeah, but I think the whole idea is, and let's go back to something, because do you like parenthood? Do you wish it was different? I'm not asking about the kid. I know you love the kids, not that. But parenthood itself and the challenges of it, like, how are you navigating that? Because personally, I don't like it.
Okay, I love it, and I love it from a wholeness perspective. When I was broken, I did not like it. I didn't like it. I felt,
you were a functioning zombie. I'm just thinking about that. Like how some people are functioning alcoholics. You were a functioning zombie. I would
do what needed to be done, but I was not there. But now that I'm whole, I love it. I borderline, if you didn't, you know, get what you had done, I'd be like, can we have a third kid?
What? What? Yeah, ain't no undoing that down there. No, ain't no undoing that down there. I mean, because I love
it that much now, to the point where sometimes I pray and ask God, like, man, if only I would have pursued wholeness and healing years ago.
Really? Mm-hmm. Now that's a first. Another first here on the podcast. A third.
You shocked?
Yeah, I'm very shocked.
Yeah, like
adoption might be odd, I mean, ain't nobody going
age-wise too. It's like borderline a little bit much, but a lot of times I sit before God like, man, if I would have just pursued my healing years ago, definitely would have pursued having more kids.
Wow. Yeah, that is.
But I love it. I love being a mom. But like I say, I feel like it's because I'm whole now.
You're in your mom era. You're
free.
Miss PTF and all this stuff.
I am PTF, room parent mom. Like, I love it. I love creating stuff for my kids. I love taking them to the movies and actually buying them things and creating kits for them and their friends to go on movie dates. I love it. I mean, I love it. Like, anytime Kaylin wants to hang out with her friends, I'm like, okay, what movie are y'all going to see? What can I put together for them to make it fun? And, you know, I love being a mom. And that's why I say, but it's only coming from a space of wholeness. Yeah. Because years ago, I wouldn't have never taken the time to think of things of, you know, of how to be a creative mom, how to be a loving mom. It was just, I got to nurture my babies. I got to make sure they're good. And that was it. Yeah. But now it's like, I want them to have core memories. I want them to have experiences. And I'm very intentional about that and what that looks like. Taking Kay out or taking Kyler out to do certain things and pouring into them, having talks with both of them individually together. As you know, now I always pick up stuff for them. You know, oh, they're always using my fan. These fans are cute. Let me get them some. You know, I'm always looking for ways. Can't go to the store without you thinking about the kids. Because I genuinely love it.
Can't go out of town without us going somewhere and you picking up something for the kids.
And I love, and traveling with them. It's tiring, of course, because they're a little wild at times. But I love the smiles on their faces. I love the fact that we're creating core memories for them. Because Kayla remembers when we were separated. She remembered the arguments. She still talks about them on her own today. She'll sit in the car and she'll be like, Mommy, why did you and Daddy argue so much when I was little? She still brings that up. So now is, to me, an important time to really pour positive seeds into her and to show her love, because she holds on to that. And I don't want that, even though now it doesn't define who we are to her, it's part of her memory. So if that's a part of her core memory, then I've got to make new core memories for her that are more positive, that are more loving, that are more in reflection to who we really are versus what she saw back then.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Yeah, I think for me, it is, I love being a dad, and I love doing dad things with the kids, how me and Kaylin are always being silly, or me and Kyler playing Roblox, or just kind of like having those moments. I think for me, it's and for men in general, I think for women as well, but for men, the giving of yourself at all costs, right? The giving of yourself to be the protector, the giving of yourself to be the provider. The oftentimes, and I know there are women that say this too, but I believe in a lot of cases, men also put themselves last to make sure that my family's good. Like, I know I have family members who would make sure that their family has insurance, but they would keep themselves off of insurance. They would make sure their family ate, but they wouldn't eat anything themselves. When things get to be that stressful, you do put your family and your kids and all of those and everything up before you, right? You get to a point where you buy your clothes for the kids and your wife have something, but you're wearing the same thing and you're not trying to buy anything for yourself because you want to make sure everybody else is taken care of. And that, for me, that is a struggle sometimes, because sometimes, man, you just want to do for yourself. I remember when I had gotten my job with where I work now, and I had gotten first check, biggest check I had ever received, and that check was the equivalent. It was 3 times for one check
I remember
that I had made in a whole month at my other job. And here we are. I get this twice a month.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I remember saying, babe, and you were not with it. I remember you were not with it. But I was like, I need to just get it out. I got to scratch that itch. I got to trick off some money. And you weren't really with it, but that's what I had to do. I had to go, and I just had to go because, again, I didn't even know what I liked. All I knew was what I had liked from the 1990s, wearing polo. Wearing polo, wearing jeans, wearing Air Force Ones or whatever, and that was it. Like, that's all I stayed true to polo. But that was also because I didn't know how to explore nothing else but polo. And then now here I am and exploring different things and finding different things and really being like, you know what? I don't have to wear Ralph Lauren every day. I can wear other stuff every day too.
Get out the polo outlet.
Get out the polo outlet. You know what I'm saying? Or if I'm buying polo, I can go down to Macy's and actually buy it. You know what I'm saying?
Macy's.
So or you know.
I'm just kidding. I'm joking. Because I ain't never seen you step foot in Macy's. Like, wait.
You know what I'm trying to say. I can go to the store to get it, or I can go to the outlet to get it. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. But no, I don't really be going up to Macy's. I was like, well, you go to Macy's, but okay. I don't even, where is a Macy's at?
See what I'm saying? You don't go. You only go to the mall with carry off.
I don't. And then when we do, it be in and out. But yeah, but that's the whole thing is now, when I got that and I was like, man, I'm really learning to find who I am. And now I'm good with it. I can find the balance and stuff like that. But boy, it was hard. It was hard not making the money needed to get out there and really be able to show you and show the kids how much I care. I never will forget my lowest moment in parenthood, and people probably wouldn't think about this, but here's why for me. We had a Land Rover, right, that I had driven it in the ground back and forth to work, right? You weren't working at the time, I don't think.
Right.
And we took this Land Rover to the Land Rover at South Atlanta, and we dropped it off. Me and Kaylin were in the car. Kyler wasn't born yet. You trailed us. Me and Kaylin were in the car, and we pull off in the garage, And, you know, I tell the guy what's going on, and he's basically like, yeah, you're going to need a new transmission, blah, 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 blah. Just off the rip, he just felt like it was going to be a new transmission, which was going to be $9,000. Again, I ain't got that kind of money at all. So this was during July 4th weekend. We ended up going to your mom's lake house. And on July 5th, I get a phone call. Mr. McNair, there was an accident with your car. What do you mean there's an accident with our car? And he says your car caught on fire and it was completely totaled. Right? And we had to rush our employee out of the car because when he pulled into the driveway after doing a test drive, it was on fire, and he parked it next to the dealership, and part of the dealership burned too. And I'm like, wait, what? You know, and my whole thing was, I ain't got no money. I don't have good credit. And I don't have no car. And you're 8 months pregnant. And everything in me was, all right, everything's coming to an end, because it felt like everything was collapsing. We had to go. We had borrowed your sister's car for a while, and the dealership actually they provided a car for us for about 30 days or whatever while they sorted things out. And that was my lowest moment because I had nothing. I had nothing. You and I were not in the best place. And that's when we talk about, when Kris was talking about the time we had to rush to the hospital. We had to rush to the hospital in the car that the dealership gave us because we didn't have a car, you know. And even beyond that, you know, I didn't even know how I was going to get my son from the hospital because we didn't have no car. And here I am, I'm in my 30s. We've been married for a while. I'm pastoring, and I had no car. I can't buy no car. It was a very low moment in my life.
But as we close, the dealership called, and the manager said, hey, we just had some kind of, because the dealership was new and they were having like their kind of like semi-grand opening, and the owner of the dealership was there, and the manager told the owner what had happened, and the owner said, you got to make this right. The manager called and said, hey, we're going to give y'all a car, debt free. Come in.
Not only that, we're going to pay off
the car that blew up.
And we're going to give you a car. And I remember in between that, I do remember I had never known what the word indemnification was. I remember hearing it before, and I remember one time I was in the bathroom, I was getting in the shower, and I heard the Lord say indemnification. So when I got out the shower, I opened up on my phone, and it said to be made whole. And I was like, I didn't know what it was at the time, right? And I was like, to be made whole. And then it said something about insurance, blah, 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 blah. So I put that on the shelf and didn't really think about it. And then here we are. God paid off the car. They gave us another car that was paid off. And I remember sitting in the chair of the finance manager, and she says, I've never seen anything like this happen before, where we have not only paid a car, but we are also giving you a car. Now turn around, that was, I think, somewhere close to $70,000 worth of transactions that we didn't touch.
And so talking about sacrifice, it's a seed.
It's a seed.
Sacrifice is a seed in the ground. And so you can't grow weary in doing good, because literally if we faint not, there's a harvest that God has. And so whether it be in parenthood, marriage, life, ministry, business, sacrifice is a seed. If God is leading you to make sacrifices, it's seed in the ground. And God says, I have a harvest for that seed. And that's how we're living life now. God, what are you leading us to do? And it may be uncomfortable. It may be frustrating. But God, I trust you because you have shown up in a form of a harvest that we didn't even expect. A harvest sometimes that we didn't even have to labor for. And so we just trust God. And that's, to me, the full kind of revelation of what it's like to be a parent, to be a spouse, to walk daily with God and allow God to literally lead your path.
Yeah.
Because we would have never imagined.
Never imagined.
Yep.
Amen. Well, that's a wrap, y'all. Thank y'all for joining us again. Remember, email your questions to show@wechoseus.com. Join the Facebook community. We got over 200 folks in there right now who are actually giving us ideas about other topics as well. We got some guests that are showing up and all of that, man. It is going to be great. We're going to finish out this season with a bang.
Yeah.
So stay connected. We love you guys. We love you choosers out there.
Yep.
And we'll see y'all on the other one.
All right. Bye.
See y'all.
Love is beautiful, but let's be real. It ain't always easy. We've been through the storms, the highs, the lows, and everything in between.
But through it all, we made a choice again and again. We chose love. We chose commitment. We chose us.
Because marriage isn't just about saying I do. It's about choosing to stay.
Welcome to We Chose Us, because love is worth the fight.